Hey guys, it's Keith, and welcome to this very important and life-changing debate on the subject of is a hamburger a sandwich? My guest today and my opponent in this debate is author, writer, blogger. I think all those three things are the same, but my friend Samuel Say. Samuel, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, sir. This will be the easiest debate I've ever had. So
Oh,
I'm doing
wow.
extremely, extremely well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. And you have been on the show before. We had you
Yeah.
on and we talked about the COVID vaccine. We had a very good conversation about that for anybody who wants to go back in the archives and see our previous conversation. But for those who may be new to you, I would like for you, before we begin, to introduce yourself to the audience and tell us about your writing ministry. Tell us about your family and its growth and things that are happening in your life.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my blog is slowtowrite.com. My social media handles are is also slow to write. It is based on James 1:19, which says, "Let everyone be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to anger." Um, so I write mostly about racial issues, abortion, other cultural issues, political issues from a biblical perspective. That's what I'm mostly known for. I also do speaking as well too. I've been traveling across. Previously, I was in Canada. I'm Canadian. I was born in Ghana, but then I lived in Canada for about 25 years until I moved here to the U.S. In Ohio, to be particular. Just I guess last year, yeah, last winter. Um, so yeah, I do speaking as well too, mostly on abortion and critical race theory. I have a project I'm working on one of these issues that I can't disclose just yet, but it will be coming out. There'll be a trailer for it, hopefully, just in a few weeks. And then, as you mentioned, my family. I've being married last year. We are now expecting our child to be born next month in October. So
Amen.
we're very excited, also a little bit nervous, but but we're very grateful for to God for His blessings. Giving me a wife and then giving me a child. So very excited.
Can I ask one quick question about you're about to become a father? What is the
Yes.
thing? What is the thing that you're most excited about, and the thing that you're most nervous about?
Hmm. I can start maybe with what I'm most nervous about first. One is, I guess, a as every nervous or anxious thought is, it's insecurity. I grew up without a father, so I've been thinking a lot about just being a good father. And I've talked to a lot of people about this, and people who grew up without dads too tell me that they were also very nervous and very anxious about having their child. And for me, it's a son. We have a son, so I've been just really thinking about what does it just mean to be a good father? Will I be reliable? And to be honest with you, it's just being. I want to be everything that my father wasn't for me. I want to be there and
Mm.
just be a consistent, godly father. So I've just been kind of anxious and nervous about just being that godly father. Um, what I'm excited about is really just being able to disciple someone, to have
Mm.
someone. Um, it's my wife and I have been, talking so much about this is an eternal soul that God has made us stewards of, and
Amen.
it is an incredible blessing. I'm like, man, that God would bless me in this way. So I'm excited. I'm already thinking about curriculums to teach him, all my books that I want to read with him, and I'm getting way way ahead of myself now, but I'm very excited about just being able to raise someone. I know my mom, she mentions how much her children give her so much joy, and I'm already experiencing a little bit of that, but I can't wait for my son to add to my joy by giving me the privilege of raising him and discipling him.
Amen. Amen. And I'm so excited for you. I'm so happy for you. I feel bad that I'm going to have to destroy you in this debate now. I because we've I consider you a person I respect and my friend, and I just feel like this is
Uh-huh.
going to be hard
Uh-huh.
to do, but
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do
Uh-huh.
it. And so
Okay.
I'm going to give you. Well, first let me explain the premise behind the debate. You
Yeah.
posted a you posted a tweet that, or maybe it was a Facebook post where you said that your wife asked you to have sandwiches for dinner, and
Yeah.
you said sandwiches are not dinner, and she said, but we have hamburgers for dinner, and you said that a hamburger is not a sandwich. How dare you?
Yeah.
You know, and so I picked up on that and I said a hamburger is a sandwich. I
Yeah.
believe it is with all my heart. So that's I wrote you and I said let's do a quick fun debate for my audience. I thought they would get a kick out of it. So we're actually gonna I want to do two debates. Actually, we're gonna do our major debate is a hamburger sandwich, but then
Yeah.
the second, real quick, I want us to debate just like a 2-minute debate on whether or not a sandwich is appropriate dinner. Because I would also say you can have a sandwich for dinner, which you said is not good. So uh so
So
let's begin.
you want 2 quick losses tonight. That's what you're saying.
That's what it is. Yeah, but I tell you what, you're brandishing your Canadian flag over your right shoulder, and so we all know that that part of your position is because you're just a little north of the border there with your thinking. So we gotta try to bring you down a little.
So we actually agree a little bit on that, and I will explain why when I'm destroying you on this argument.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do it this way. I'm going to give you, because you are taking the affirmative. No, I'm sorry. You're taking the negative. You're saying a hamburger is not a sandwich. So I'm taking the,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm taking the affirmative. A hamburger is a sandwich. I'll go first then, because the affirmative normally goes first. I will give my opening statement, and then
Okay.
I will allow you to give your opening statement, and then we'll have cross-examination. How's that sound?
Okay.
And
That sounds good.
this is all just for fun. So it's not too
Yes.
serious, but my opening statement is very simple. Okay.
Okay.
So is a hamburger a sandwich? The dictionary definition of a sandwich, according to Merriam-Webster, is 2 or more slices of bread or a split roll having a filling in between. And that's the definition, according to Merriam-Webster, of a sandwich. Now, the second definition is 1 slice of bread covered with food. Now, even I would take maybe some issue with that as being a traditional sandwich, but that's Merriam-Webster's 2 definitions for a sandwich. And the USDA uses the definition that, quote, at least 35% of cooked meat and no more than 50% bread for closed sandwiches, and at least 50% cooked meat for open sandwiches. And in Britain, the British Sandwich Association, there is such a thing as a British Sandwich Association, defines a sandwich as any form of bread with a filling, generally assembled cold, which of course I take issue with because hamburgers are not normally served cold. According to my research, the sandwich was named after the supposed inventor, John Montagu, 4th Earl of Sandwich. And the popular myth is that he created this food because he liked to sit at the gambling table, and this allowed him to eat with one hand as he held his cards with the other hand. Now, whether or not that myth is true, it does give rise to the idea of what makes a sandwich. What makes a sandwich is not just the fact that it's 2 pieces of bread with something in between, but it's the method of delivery into the mouth. It's something that's eaten with the hand. So I think if something is eaten with a fork or a knife, I don't think we would appropriately say that that was a sandwich. But because the hamburger is this is the position we take, and for those who are listening, they won't be able to see my hands, but it's this position of reaching down, picking up. That's the same position we take with a sandwich. It's the same position we take with a hamburger. And so my contention is that the only difference between a hamburger and a sandwich is simply a matter of what we are discussing in the middle, because both of them have 2 pieces of bread. Both of them have something in the middle, whether it's peanut butter and jelly, whether it's cheese, whether it's meat and cheese, meat, lettuce, cheese, or what your wife was wanting to cook you, which was a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, which I assume for Canadians would be a ham, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, because you guys have a very weird type of bacon. So that is my contention, that burgers are sandwiches because of the method of delivery, the method of construction. It's all the same. It's just what's different on the middle. So that is my opening statement, and I'm sure we'll get into more when we get to the cross-examination. So now, Samuel, your turn to give your opening statement.
Yeah. Well, first, I have to say that I was wrong about you. I thought you had discernment, but clearly you do not. I mean, to you, this is a laughing matter, but to me, I'm very concerned. So, okay, so just a quick question. I know this is not really a cross-examination yet. Just a quick question. Have you disclosed this to your church? Is your church aware of your views on this?
They will be now. They will be now.
Okay.
This is going
Well,
to go live to all
I,
of my dozens of fans.
I'm sorry if you are then, therefore disqualified from ministry for your views on this, because this is, I'm surprised that a pastor would publicly affirm, the view that you have. So, in a sense, I guess I kind of respect you for your honesty, because of what you're going to lose after this. But okay, so after all those postmodern definitions, you had all these different ideas as to what a sandwich can be. I would just give you a very simple definition. It's actually kind of similar to one of the ones that you mentioned already. But before I get to that, I'll say this. I'll read from Proverbs 18, verse 17. The one who states his case first seems right, which means I'm very glad you went first instead of me. Otherwise, this text, I couldn't really read it. So the one who states his case first seems right until the other comes and examines him. All right. So I'm going to ask you basically a very, very simple question. All right. I'll just make one statement through a question, and then we can get into the particulars later. So, according to you, this is a sandwich.
Hey, you brought a hamburger with you. Look at there.
Oh, I'm prepared. Believe me, this is one of many. So, are you saying this is a sandwich?
I am. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. And according to you, this is also a sandwich.
What's
Peanut butter
inside?
and jelly.
Yes, peanut butter and jelly. Absolutely. Now,
Okay.
is that on rye bread?
I'm not sure what kind of bread it is. I have
Okay,
no idea.
because peanut butter and jelly on rye bread is just that's sinful. Has to be on white bread. But
Well, I know it's seeds, but I don't know exactly what kind of bread it is. I know nothing about bread. I know a lot about sandwiches, but nothing about bread.
Gotcha.
Okay. So since you were trying to distract from me about to finish you with this first point.
Okay.
So you're saying these two items are the exact same thing. They're sandwiches.
I'm saying they're both sandwiches, yes.
You still maintain this?
I am maintaining it. I have more arguments to make, but yes.
Okay. So just to be clear, meat, right? Burgers in two patties actually in this so-called sandwich, according to you.
Is that a Big Mac? Is that
Yes,
a
it
Big
is
Mac?
a Big Mac.
That's a club. A Big Mac is a club sandwich.
Oh my goodness. Okay. You're hurting me here. You're hurting my soul. You're hurting my soul so much. Nevertheless, you're saying these two things are technically the very same food item.
I'm saying they're the same food category. I mean, if I had a 6-ounce steak and a 17-ounce steak, they would both still be steak.
You are not comparing two different kinds of steaks according to their size.
Okay, if I had a New York strip and a filet mignon, they would still both be steaks. So different kinds of steaks, but still, and they look very different, but they're still both steaks.
But their steaks is the exact same thing. It's meat. These two things I showed you, one is is peanut butter and jelly, right?
Yes.
In a sandwich, right? In between bread. And then the other is bread covering two beautifully tasting, delicious.
Have you been to McDonald's?
Look, here's the one thing I will say. I have a love for McDonald's that is apparently very unpopular. I love the Big Mac. All right. But these two are clearly different. You cannot put these two in the same category. You can't. First of all, one is primarily for breakfast. I don't know anybody who eats McDonald's for breakfast. Right. These are two different items. But anyways, I would just
wait. This might be a Canadian thing. I don't know anybody who eats sandwiches for breakfast. Do you eat sandwiches for breakfast?
Yes. So you eat peanut butter and jelly outside of breakfast?
I eat peanut butter and jelly for lunch. I don't eat peanut butter and jelly for breakfast. That's okay. So that's a cultural difference. Cause I mean, the only sandwich I would have for breakfast would maybe be an egg sandwich, or a sausage biscuit, which I don't know if we'd consider that a sandwich. I would say a biscuit is still a sandwich because it's the same structure. But
no, wait a minute. Oh wow! Wait a minute.
A sausage biscuit is a sandwich. Yes.
Okay. Do you consider just a biscuit with filling inside of it? Do you consider that, like say Oreos? Do you consider Oreo sandwiches?
Oreos are called a cookie sandwich. It says it on the package. It's a cookie sandwich. It's a
And
hey,
they're
wait a minute.
clearly wrong.
You,
You are blowing my mind here. But okay,
you
you know what? Sorry, I want you to mention the rest of your points. So
well,
I'll let you continue.
Well, I want to show you something because you mentioned McDonald's. You even went to the trouble of going to McDonald's and
Yep.
buying a Big Mac, which I want to thank you for for your commitment to the bit. This is hilarious and I love it. But McDonald's has their menu online, and I just happened to have gone to get their menu for this purpose. So here's a picture. I don't know if you can you see this on your screen?
I can see it. Yes.
Okay, so you see on the listing here, it says the meal, McNuggets, fries. Notice it says sandwiches, right? And if you
Uh-huh.
click on that, it brings up this, and it
Mhm.
says Big Mac under sandwiches, quarter pounder under sandwiches, double
Mhm.
bacon quarter pounder with cheese. These are
Uh-huh.
all under the heading of
Uh-huh.
sandwiches. And McDonald's has sold over 1 billion hamburgers.
Uh-huh.
So they know what a hamburger is. They
Uh-huh.
put it in the
Uh-huh.
category of sandwich. If you go to
Yeah.
Burger King, they are the king. I have a crown from them. You know this. So if you go Burger King, it says Whopper sandwich, Impossible Whopper sandwich, Double Whopper sandwich.
Uh-huh.
I am bringing you statistically,
Uh-huh.
or not statistically, a written specific from the Burger King and hamburger capital restaurants.
Yeah.
I win. I have to say.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Now, as I said, I love the McDonald's burgers, right?
Yes.
I enjoy them. But hold on here. Are you honestly telling me, if you are a foodie, are you really telling me that Burger King and McDonald's are the authority on burgers? Are you really going to stand by that?
Ooh. What I'm saying.
Yes or no? Yes or no, sir? Yes
Oh,
or
okay,
no?
okay, okay. That's a yes or no question.
Uh-huh.
I would say that they are an authority, not the only authority. So I could say
Okay.
yes,
So
they are an
therefore,
authority.
then, therefore, your point doesn't really work. You thought you had me, but oh no, I've recovered.
Okay.
Because there's no way. Because if I want a solid premium, just almost just the best kind of burgers you can get, while I enjoy McDonald's, I'm not going there for my premium burgers, right? So they are not the authority. So if you finish your point, I can tell you what the authority is on burgers.
Oh, I'd
Like,
love to hear who your favorite
okay,
who do you think is the authority on burgers?
well, before I get to that, I have to kind of go back to history a little bit. You mentioned some of it, but I got to give a clear picture
Okay.
of who the authority is when it comes to burgers or sandwiches. You mentioned the Lord of Sandwich, kind of, right? Is
Yeah.
that what you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, Marburg is his name.
Yes,
The Earl of Sandwich. Yeah.
yes, the
Or
Earl or the Lord of
John
Sandwich.
Montague, 4th Earl of Sandwich. Yes.
Yes, okay. So the word sandwich clearly comes from Britain, right? Would you agree with that?
Indeed. Yes.
Okay, this is unlike I'm not a postmodernist like the way you were defining burgers earlier. So I'm just going to make sure that we are on the same page here. Okay,
Oh, absolutely.
so this means now you disagree with me, but this means that the British are the experts on sandwiches. You mentioned earlier that I am, of course, from Canada, therefore that is skewing my view of burgers and sandwiches, but I disagree. Actually, it is giving me a greater insight into the issue because as a loyal subject of the British monarchy, I know the British are always right. Always right.
Sorry.
So you read the British the British Sandwich Association earlier. We didn't fully read what they said, which is very convenient for you, of course. So they define a sandwich as any form of bread with a filling, generally assembled cold. Again, the experts, where the word sandwich comes from, are saying any form of bread with a filling, generally assembled cold, to include traditional wedge sandwiches, as well as filled rolls, baguettes, pita, bloomers, wraps, and bagels. They continue. This is where you left out. There is much debate as to what constitutes as a sandwich. But burgers and other associate products are not considered to be a sandwich. Also, the first written word, the first usage of the word sandwich in English It appeared in Edward Gibbon's journal in longhand, referring to bits of cold meat as a sandwich. So, quick question: have you ever eaten a cold burger at a restaurant before?
Not on purpose. No.
Exactly. Because it is impossible. Burgers are supposed to be hot, they're not supposed to be cold. Sandwiches, according to the experts, the British, are supposed to be generally cold. So that's a +2 for me there.
Okay. All right. But let me counter question you.
Mhm.
Have you ever eaten a sandwich that had hot stuff in it and yet you still defined it as a sandwich, such as like a meatball sandwich or a grilled cheese sandwich?
I don't think I actually ever have.
You've never had a grilled cheese sandwich? Oh, brother, you got to come to my house and have a grilled cheese sandwich.
I,
They
I
are the
don't like
best.
I don't like grilled cheese. I don't like cheese at all.
Oh.
So your points there doesn't work.
Well, no, no, no. But would you still define it as a grilled cheese sandwich? It's a hot sandwich.
You know what? Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Okay, okay. So the fact that the internal temperature is hot doesn't make it a sandwich or not. And this is where I think, and by the way, using the British to argue for a culinary position is really not a position that I thought you would take. It's clever, but not exactly in keeping with what we know about Britain. You know, they maybe France, maybe Italy, not Great Britain. I'm just saying.
I can't argue against that one. I can't argue against that.
So here's where I take this to a real extreme, and maybe this will draw us to a close. I'm so committed to this position. And Hans Feeney, Hans Feeney online, the guy with
Yeah,
Lutheran Satire, he
yeah.
says it can't be a hamburger because you can have a hamburger without bread. I say yes, but anytime you order a hamburger, it always comes with bread unless you tell them not to. Unless you order a hamburger steak, it always comes with bread.
Mhm.
So for me, it always has bread, therefore it's always a sandwich. But I go as far as to say a hot dog is a sandwich.
Oh,
I go as far as to say because a hoagie is a sandwich and a hot dog is a hoagie. Therefore, a hot dog is a sandwich, but therefore also a taco is a hot dog. It's a Mexican hot dog, which makes a Mexican hoagie. So all of those are sandwiches. I put a lot of things in the category of sandwich, and I just love the fact that you're just shaking your head and you think I'm
because you're
crazy.
completely wrong. Burgers and hot dogs are a completely separate item. They're different. The meat, the burgers and the hot dogs are so unique they cannot be sandwiches. They're different.
Okay.
You know what? I'll give you an example. Okay. Speaking of being prepared, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Okay. In all seriousness, am I a sandwich?
You're a theological sandwich right now.
So that is why I cannot agree with you.
Okay.
If you're go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, no, 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 please finish your thought.
Yeah, I know you're saying I'm a theological sandwich,
Yes,
but you
because your
can't eat a
theological mind
theological sandwich. You can't. You can't.
can't eat
If
it.
you're so, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Did you say I can't eat a theological sandwich?
No, you can't.
No, I wouldn't. No, not at all.
Exactly, because they're not. it- They're different kinds of sandwiches, sure, but once you have a certain kind of unique meat in there, as I am, very unique meat, obviously, it becomes a completely different item. So this is a sandwich. This is not. This is a burger, right? So you cannot say they're the same. If you say they're similar, sure, they're similar, but they're not the exact same thing. And frankly, anyone who says that loses a massive amount of discernment in my view. So I'm very, very surprised that you would take this view. I mean, when you mentioned it, I was quite surprised. Several other people were saying this, but I assumed that they were not believers. But for a believer, a pastor, to be saying this, it really shocked me.
Well, I tell you what, the good thing is I don't run a discernment ministry, so it's okay. You can. All right. So very quickly,
Yeah.
before we close, I want to ask. Tell me why you don't think. Okay, so let's assume that you're correct, even though I would still
Yes.
disagree. Let's assume that you're correct, and sandwiches and hamburgers can be distinguished.
Yeah.
Why is a sandwich not an appropriate dinner?
Uh, okay. Now, this, I will admit, comes from a more cultural point of view. I will admit that. This is where I guess I become a postmodernist, I
Okay.
suppose. But it's that sandwiches. Well, one, now I mentioned I'm Canadian, and Canadians would agree with Americans generally on sandwiches being dinners. But being a Ghanaian, we don't really
Mhm.
eat sandwiches all that. It's not really part of our, sandwiches are mostly Western meals, right? So they're not very common in Africa, especially in Ghana. And to eat them as dinner. So even for me, growing up in Canada, we never ate sandwiches for dinner. It was always as a breakfast or as a lunch because they're really, honestly, we see this more as snacks. They're not filling. They're not gonna, unless you eat like five of them or something, at least for me, anyways, they're not gonna fill you up, right? So now a burger, again, would be different because the patties are very filling. But so we had a BLT sandwich, and I see that I'm like, that's a snack. That's not dinner, right? For dinner there has to be a massive, at least again for me, a massive amount of meat in there. The BLT, it's not. No matter how much bacon you put in there, unless again you're putting in like 20 of them or something, it's not going to be sufficient for dinner, in my opinion, right? And somehow I said that to my wife, and I still slept on the bed. I didn't sleep on the couch. So, I was very grateful for that. But anyway, that's my reasoning for why I don't think sandwiches can be should be made for dinner.
Do does your wife make you American bacon or does she make you Canadian bacon?
Well, we buy our bacon here, so it is all
Okay.
just yeah, it's all
Well, I've
American.
seen Canadian bacon in the store. It looks to me like ham, but that's why I was asking. I don't know if you had
Yeah.
a preference, but I couldn't imagine having a Canadian bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. It just doesn't seem very appealing to me. Well, with that being said, I appreciate you coming on the show today, having some fun. This was
Yeah.
all spawned off of a Twitter conversation, and I hope people enjoy. And it was good to reconnect with you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you going all the way to McDonald's and bringing that back to try to prove your point, even though I think I continue to. Oh, wait, one last thing. Do you eat Subway sandwiches like subs?
No, not really. I'm not that big of a fan of sandwiches, as you can probably
I
tell.
yeah, I was gonna say the okay, because that seems to me like it might be filling for a dinner, because it's, 12 inches long or whatever. So,
Yeah. Okay. I've had some before and they were okay. I just don't think, oh, I can't wait to eat a Subway sandwich. I'd rather go to McDonald's if that's the case.
okay. Well, Samuel, thank you so much. One more time, if you would, tell everyone how they can read your material, where they can find you, if people wanted to contact you, how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, they can find me at slowtowrite.com where they can just get more of my amazing discernment, displayed on the website. I'm being silly. But they can find me, writing about critical race theory, abortion, different cultural, political issues from a Christian perspective. They can find me also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Slow to Write as well.
Awesome. Well, Samuel, thank you again. Thank you again for being on the show. And I want to thank the audience for humoring us now for the last 25, 30 minutes. And I want to ask you in the comments, put below who you think won this debate. Who do you think is the Earl of sandwiches now, that we can take John Montague's position and be the Earl of sandwich, and why? Or if you have a different argument, whether or not a hamburger is a sandwich or not, put it in the comments below or drop a line for us in Twitter. Thank you again for watching the show, and God bless you.